Okay, I want to share with you a brilliant insight that the good Lord gave me just now. And the insight goes like this. Now you may say, who are you to think like that? Well, listen carefully, and you get to decide if this insight truly is or isn't brilliant. And of course, I don't say this with any ego. I'm just like you. I'm a seeker. I'm trying to grow. But sometimes when you understand the truth and you understand where you can grow and how you can grow and what it means to grow, that is very valuable. So thank you, God, for this insight. So for the longest of time, I've always been a little bit confused because we know that according to Kabbalah, all reality basically is divided into three pillars. There's the right-hand pillar, and really you can speak forever on each one of these, and there are thousands of books, but it's very, very concise. But the right pillar is the pillar of kindness, which is really based on love. The left pillar is the pillar of aggression, which is really based on fear. And the middle pillar is the pillar of Jacob, and we call it the pillar of truth and compassion. And really, the middle pillar is the beam that goes straight up to God. You see, each and every one of us have a right hand, a left hand, right foot, left foot. In fact, a right side of the heart, a left side of the heart. You even have a right brain, a left brain. And they all correspond to this concept of right and left. We can talk for a long time, but the goal is to get to the point. But the center, like our prefrontal lobe, which makes us unique, that's connected to our mind and our soul, connected straight to God. And of course, the challenge of life is that there's one part of us, whether it's the love part, the desire part, that is telling us one thing to do. I mean, even let's say, take a simple example. I don't know, you have a friend and your friend upset you. So there's a part of you that's the love part, which is like, he's my friend, I don't care. But then there's another part, which is perhaps the fear part. I don't want to get hurt, right? Or maybe the fear actually can turn into anger as well, and jealousy and anger. So that is actually not only I don't want to get hurt, I'm looking to take vengeance, I'm looking to hurt back, right? So that's the left side. And those are natural human reactions. Every single human fluctuates just between those things. But the superhuman is kind of, okay, let's take a break here. What does God tell me to do? Now, for the longest of time, I kind of saw it like, okay, the goal is to kind of forget your right, forget your left, and be in the center, like be that kind of servant of God. But today I just realized something very important, and that is actually you're meant to have all three. You're meant to have a part of yourself which is just like, I don't care, I love this person, I'm just going to give to them out of love. But then you're meant to have a part of yourself to say, you know what, that is just rude and it's obnoxious, and stop it. You know what I mean? A person can't not get angry in life. A person cannot not react to aggression. That's part of the problem in the left. We become, or in the West I should say, when things are good, and all of history shows us, we become kind of in the love side of reality. And it's not that we're perfect, it's just that we're enjoying the better feeling, which is love. And we don't want to deal with the reality, which is that there's evil in this world. So we're like, oh, yes, you can come into our country. Yes, go kill, God forbid, a bunch of Jews in Israel. Whatever you say, as long as it doesn't hurt me. But that's not a correct approach to life. The correct approach to life is, if it's going to hurt someone else, it's hurting me. And therefore, I have to put an end to it now. In other words, a person's nature should be love, but also should be the love of love. And when you love love, you automatically hate hate. Because if love is what you like, and you care, let's say, about your own child, and somebody's going to beat up your child, you're going to maybe beat them up because it creates anger in you. But if, I don't know, somebody, God forbid, beat up somebody else's child, and God forbid, you didn't have compassion and love for that person, then you might not beat them up. You might say, oh, wow, that was really a terrible thing I just witnessed. You understand? So having a passionate self, both in terms of love, there's a commandment, love your fellow Jew. And the Baal Shem Tov, the greatest master, came to this world to say, even if it costs you your life, you should love your fellow Jew. We're living in Israel. There's so many young people that give their lives, literally are giving their lives, even as we speak this very moment, just to protect me, to protect our fellow brothers and sisters. If you're in America, you have 2 million soldiers. They're giving their lives to protect you. People care. There are firefighters. There are police people that stand in line of duty to protect you. They have compassion. They want to protect the innocent from the guilty. And you have to be ready to stop the guilty to protect the innocent. In fact, there's a very powerful line from Judaism. It's very true. And it's very sad. And it's very profound. And it says, if you have compassion on the cruel, you will become cruel to the compassionate. So I used to think the line was, if you're compassionate to the cruel, you're cruel to the compassionate. And there's truth to that. Because if I say, oh, that poor, murderer, I'm not going to murder him. Well, actually, if you don't murder him, he's going to murder someone else. But it's deeper than that. Why are you not taking action? Why are you not murdering him? You're not murdering him because you're kind. You're murdering him because you're weak. You're murdering him because you're afraid. It's easier for you to do nothing. So you know what's going to end up happening? You're going to become the murderer. And you say, what, are you crazy? Me, a murderer? I want to tell you, the Nazis, it's very hard for people to understand this. The Germans were not bad people. The Germans were actually good people. It was a country like America of good people. I was just listening today how somebody was interviewing Ben Shapiro, and he says, they said, does anything shock you? He said, well, I wasn't shocked that there was anti-Semitism, but that the people that say behind Black Lives Matter should post when, after Hamas comes and murders 1,200 people, rapes women, burns babies alive, takes hostages, that they should post a picture of a person coming in with a Hamas flag. This means that these people are evil to the core. But a lot of people won't say what I'm saying. I'll say clearly, Black Lives Matter is not about black lives. If you really care about black lives, tell the blacks that are killing blacks. Who kills the most blacks? Blacks, criminals. It's just shaming whites, getting people through shame to give you money so you can shame them more, you can become more powerful and more obnoxious. That's what it is. So I've said it. I've said it clearly. Gone against the whole ridiculous evil movement. But the point of the matter is that if you don't have the courage to say exactly what I just said, the problem is not that you are compassionate. The problem is that you are weak. And when you are weak, you will end up becoming cruel. Why? Because if you don't have the strength of character to speak your mind, to say the truth, and say that there's no such thing as a Palestinian, they're a bunch of terrorists that own Arab Poles. We call them Arabs because that's what they are. So 98% of the people in Gaza, they're terrorists. That's who elected Hamas, who supports Hamas. These people should all be wiped out because that's what they are. They're terrorists. The guy escaped from his Hamas jail. The people of Gaza put them back. I'm not going to go through stories, but the point is, if you're not willing to kill the murderer, not only are you guilty, people that allowed Obama to become president the second time, the first time I could understand, you didn't understand. But who allowed ISIS to come? You allowed the worst criminals in the world, courtesy of this mastermind of terrorism. So the point of the matter is that if you can't see evil, if you bow to it because the guy is going to shame you, and that's what evil does, it shames you into submission, then you become part of their team. If I can't beat him, I join him. That's the problem. And so the point is, you have to have also gvura. You primarily have to be loving, but you also have to be, and Jacob is the ultimate example. Now, why is Jacob called the best of the forefathers? If actually you look at him, he looks like a regular guy. He's got mother-in-law problems and father-in-law problems. I shouldn't say mother-in-law, father-in-law problems, children problems, brother problems. But he comes out on top. You know why? Because he fights the good fight. He doesn't say, okay, I'm not gonna acquiesce. He says, no, I can see your father doesn't like me anymore. We're out of here. He deals with the issues. And that is the kind of person that succeeds in life. He loves hard and he fights hard when he needs to fight. And unless we're willing to do that, we are guilty because I'm not happy to say this story, but I was driving once and I saw a horrific sight of a girl. She actually ran out of a car and a guy came and he pulls her back into the car. And one of my thoughts was oh, call the police. And another thought was okay, I don't know, maybe there was something wrong with her. Maybe he had to get her back in the car. And then I actually pulled up. I said there were some guys there. Is everything okay? Everything's okay. And I look back at it, probably nothing was okay. Why didn't I stop them? Why didn't I fight them? I mean, really, let's be honest, why didn't I fight them? Probably because I was afraid. Maybe it was 3 Arabs against one. I was afraid. And the consequence of that fear is terrible. It's terrible. And so the point of the matter is that a person has to have courage and belief. And this is where the two transform into one. Because you have to start with love. Because if you don't love, you don't care. So many people are actually disconnected, disassociated. They actually don't care. But then you also have to get to the point of, when I love, I also am ready to be aggressive if I have to be. You know, empires that's happening in the West, or thank God for Trump and the right, but the left literally would have destroyed America. And empires, we do know that in history, empires self-destruct because people get too lazy. You know, you can't just be in the compassionate side of life. You also have to be on the courage side of life. You have to have compassion and you have to have courage. And that means you have to be strong, because weak people do not have courage. You can be sweet in life, but you are not going to be a protector. You have to be, and really women, it's important for men to understand, women want, the primary thing that women want is a strong man. They don't want a brute man. They don't want an evil man, but they want a strong man. They want somebody that they could rely on this person. You know, I could walk down the street with this person I know. If anybody will start up with me, he'll take them out. They want that. And last but not least, we have to have humility, because we are not God. You know, to step into the role of compassion and courage is really to step into the role of God, to be the hero. But you also have to have humility. You have to be the hero to humanity. But also, you can't become arrogant, because then you lose your mind and then you become part of the problem. So for that, you have to actually go up to God. You have to have the knowledge that everything, the entire universe, is like a speck compared to the universe above it, which is like a speck compared to the universe above it, which is like a speck compared to the universe above it, which is like a speck compared to the universe above it. And all of that is not even like a speck compared to God. Everything is like zero. Just like a computer can make infinite, I don't know if it had an infinite mind, games and everything, all from this one thing. And it doesn't even have to, it's just a potential that it has. Everything is zero compared to God. And when you have that humility, you understand that God knows better than you, and you're willing to listen to him. And then you have the trickle-down effect of the mind being in control of the emotions connecting to the mind, and then you have the most beautiful harmony and the goal of reality, which is the connecting point of the heart to the mind, and they come together. That the heart and the mind, they function in harmony and in unison. And now that is the perfect person. The person that they're compassionate, they're courageous, and equally as important, they are humble to God. They're getting the information from God. If you need, you go to a rabbi, you go to Chabad.org, you can ask the rabbi. You're welcome to ask me if you need advice. God gives us advice on how to behave, and we put the two together. And the greatest courage we have to have is the courage of not worrying what somebody else will say, because that's where we fail. That's where the darkness gets us. Because if you're afraid of what other people will say, when will you be courage? When will you do the right thing? Because they can manipulate you just through words. Millions and billions of people can be manipulated through one demagogue. You know, I've said it before, I don't want to take too long. But, you know, when Obama became president, to see 27% of America, that's like 90 million people, became his cult followers. What does he have to offer apart from narcissism? But that's the way we humans are, because we know that that guy's going to shame me if I don't listen to him. So get out of shame, get into courage. Know that this world is really just it's God's kind of desire. And as long as you're with God's desire, you are going to be the Mashiach. You're going to be the one that's going to make the world better and better and better. So good luck on your mission.